And so I met up with dear friends of ours, Lisa and Dean Graciosi, and we had a conversation that was kind of the last straw here. So I was like, dude, being famous sounds terrible. He was just telling us about how like somebody like showed up his house and threatened his kids, and I was like, that sounds awful. Like, why? No, thank you. I'm good. I'll just pass on grass. And so he's like, if getting harassed and attacked is the price I have to pay for the, it's supposed to say impact. That was perfect. For the impact that I want to have, then I'd pay that price every time, which totally takes away from the impact of that message. But I was like, he's right. You know what I mean? Like he said, if that's the price I have to pay to make the impact I want to have, and I pay that price every time. I was like, all right, I need to stop being all right. So 18 months ago, I started a YouTube channel. Some of you guys may have anybody seen this, the YouTube channel? Nosy Nation. Woo. And so I built 2 expensive studios to launch this thing. I started making 3 videos a week. Side note, important lesson that I learned on a vacation. That really one did better than my really fancy one, which then taught me that what's inside the content matters more than the wrapper. So for anybody who's like worried about getting started, about making it look right, I don't think it matters. I mean, I think it matters a little bit, but it's 80-20, so focus on the 80. All right, and so I continued my very steady growth for that period of time, which is great. Recommend. But you know, the first 12 months we went from 600 to 70,000 subscribers, which was cool. And so things were going smoothly until one day I had a chat with Grant Cardone about branding. And it reminded me that all the lessons that I'd learned in business applied to all this organic stuff. And so I was on this call with him, and I have the full video on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out. Yeah. He was like, bro, I'm not even going to try. He was like, bro, pull up your Instagram. And I was like, okay. He's like, pull up my Instagram. He's like, I got 10 times the content as you. 10 times. He's like, bro, it's volume, bro. Volume. And I was like, that's deep. And so I was like, you know, I should probably do more, which is a lesson that I have learned over and over and over again in business, and I'll tell you a couple more stories about it later. But like, so many times we're doing the right stuff, we're just doing way, way too little of it. Like, I'll tell you a quick story which is not on this presentation, but when I started my first gym, I was told that I should put flyers out. And so I went, I'm like really, full of piss and vinegar. I was like, I'm gonna go do it. So the business owner who told me was more successful than me, et cetera. And so I went, I put the flyers out, and then like nothing really happened. So I met back up with him a few weeks later, and he was like, hey, how'd the flyers work? And I was like, I got one guy who called me and said I picked up his car. That was it. He's like, well, what was your test size? I was like, I was like, well, I mean, I put 300 out. And he's like, dude, our test size is 5,000. He's like, that's what we test with. He's like, and then we do 5,000 a day. I was like, oh. Noted. And so it was just a really good lesson, and that happens with phone calls. Like, yeah, I'm gonna start doing cold calls. You make 10 calls every 3 days when you're feeling motivated, rather than doing 200 dials every day, like it's clockwork before lunch. You know what I mean? The level of effort difference is not like 2x or 4x. It's like 50x. It's a lot bigger, and most people dramatically underestimate the amount of volume and effort that is required to get to where you want to go, like dramatically. And so I have so many lessons that this repeated, and I was taught yet again in a different sphere that I'm not familiar with that this was true. I'm also wearing the same shirt. So I decided to take his advice and dramatically increase the amount of content that we created and how many places we displayed it, right? And so before I tell you, who wants to guess how many pieces of content we started putting out weekly after that call? 25? 10,000? Less than that. I would be so much more famous if I put 10,000 out. What was that, 100? Good guess. So we went from 7 pieces of content a week. I did 3 on YouTube, and then I just repurposed the same 3 on a podcast, to 80 content pieces a week. And for scale, if you remember the first line that I showed you way before, the top of that is that purple line from the first graph I showed you. And so pretty cool. And so this is what happened in those 6 months. We added 300,000 subscribers on YouTube, 7,000 followers on Instagram. Still haven't really cracked that one. 350,000 on TikTok, 150,000 buyers, which is cool, on Amazon for the book, 350,000 followers on Instagram, 100,000 on Twitter, and 400,000 downloads a month on the podcast. Cool, right? So basically a million person audience within that 6 months.